Welcome to the Hyborian Keep. I'm Old Man Hyborian. Here we review tales of Robert E. Howard's greatest character, Conan the Barbarian. Today we'll be reviewing Heroic Signatures in Titan Comics' Savage Sword of Conan, the original comics Omnibus, volume number 1. This won't be some fluffy review, it'll be an old man's honest opinion. And just as a heads up, there will be spoilers. So I don't want you to go crying to your mommy if I say something that spoils it for you. If you don't want the spoilers, go to the summary at the end. And if you enjoy the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Now let's get after it. Before we begin, the very best way to experience Conan is through Robert E. Howard's writings. But the second best way is through the illustrated version of The Savage Sword of Conan by Marvel Comics. If you only have the means to purchase one title in omnibus form, then that should be The Savage Sword of Conan. Here we have Savage Sword of Conan, Volume 1, Omnibus, by Heroic Signatures in Titan Comics. Super cover by Boris. The spine has The Savage Sword of Conan, the original comics Omnibus. And the back dust jacket has all the issues that are in this volume, including Savage Tales 1 to 5 and Savage Sword of Conan 1 to 12 and Special Number 1. We begin with the end sheets by John Buscema and Pablo Marcos. We have the credits from Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics team. And we have the creative teams for Savage Tales and Savage Sword of Conan. And a table of contents. And an introduction by Roy Thomas. May 1971 kicked it all off with Savage Tales number 1. The cover was done by John Buscema. Roy Thomas did the writing. Barry Smith did the art, and it was a redo of the colored version of Frost Giant's Daughter. I think I prefer Barry Smith's colored version better, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the black and white. In October 1973, Savage Tales number 2 was released, cover by John Buscema. Again, writing by Roy Thomas and art by Barry Smith. And this was part 1 of Red Nails. A very good representation of Robert's story. This issue also had Robert E. Howard's poem Cimmeria. And some Weird Tales excerpts. In February 1974, Savage Tales number 3 was released, cover by Pablo Marcos and John Romita. Roy Thomas and Barry Smith, again the creative team, wrapping up the Red Nails part 2. Savage Tales number 4 was released in May 1974. It had a cover by Neil Adams, and Roy Thomas was the writer, and this time the artwork was done by Gil Kane and Neil Adams and others. And it was the story The Dark Man from Robert E. Howard. There was 2 stories in this edition. The second story was done by Barry Smith and Roy Thomas. Savage Tales number 5, cover by Neil Adams. Story by Roy Thomas. And the art was done by Jim Starlin and Al Milgrom. I enjoyed the art of this issue. It really depicts Conan well. He looks quite savage. There was always cool secondary information all through the Savage Tales and Savage Sword of Conan. This is when the Savage Sword of Conan kicked off. August 1974. Cover by Boris Vallejo and Roy Thomas and John Buscema. Did the creative inside. And inks were by Pablo Marcos. I always liked Pablo's inking. He was, I always liked the stuff that was a little bit darker. That was kind of my thing. Some very cool covers. Cover number 3, done by Mike Kaluta. Roy did all the writing, and John did most of the pencils with different inkers. This one's Pablo. Again, I like that style. Super cover here by Boris. Boris really did some fantastic covers. This one was inked by Alfredo Alcala, who always did a spectacular job with his inks. Sometimes they were a little light, I didn't care for them that much, but look at that there. That's just spectacular. June 1975, cover done by Alex Nino and Frank Megsino. Pretty cool cover. This was done by Roy Thomas and Sonny Trinidad. Again, good artist. Cover 7, another cover done by Boris. The front pieces, they were always pretty cool. There was always a lot of pin-ups or front pieces. Had excellent art. Another John Buscema, Alfredo Alcala. The detail. That's what really, is enjoyable with these black and whites, is the amount of detail that can be done. Savage Sword of Conan 8, cover done by Frank Bunner and Bob Larkin. Cool front piece. Roy Thomas and Tim Conrad. These early issues really had some very talented artists. Through the whole Conan Savage Sword series, the artwork was fairly decent. The stories towards the end got a little bit shaky, but for the most part, the art was pretty good. Multiple stories in this edition. Gil Kane was involved with this one. Another Boris cover. The artwork on this one was done by Pablo Marcos. I really enjoyed his artwork. He mostly inked, but he did do some standalone art that was very good. Pretty cool map. Savage Sword of Conan issue 10, another Boris cover. And John Buscema art. You can't go wrong with Big John. Issue number 11, cover by Ken Barr. John Buscema, and inked by Young Montanto, another excellent inker. Another Boris cover, John and Alfredo interior. At the back, there's some advertisements. Even the advertisements were pretty cool. There's some original art. Some more original art. Very cool to see. Classic cover. And the last page is the cover from the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 1. So this Omni has a total of 952 pages. With the black and white magazine, the art was always spectacular. They had a series of front pieces and pin-ups that was a big part of the overall enjoyment of an issue. You know, had your regular story and your artwork, and you always had backup stories, but the pin-ups and the front pieces and also the covers. Let's have a look to see what I consider to be the 3 best covers of this omnibus. So my 3 favorite covers. Let's start off with number 3. Which is a cover by Boris Yaleo. Excellent cover. Cover number 2. Another Boris cover of the first edition of Savage Sword of Conan. And my most favorite cover of this omnibus was this one here. Spectacular cover. And this was done by John Buscema, and it was painted by Boris. You can't get much better than that. Iconic scene. So it wasn't just the covers that I enjoyed. A big part of the enjoyment of reading The Savage Sword was the pin-ups and the front pieces. Well, let's take a look to see what I consider to be the 3 best pin-ups in this omnibus. So let's take a look at my top 3 pin-ups. Pin-up number 1. Was by Boris. Actually, this is the black and white of one of Boris's covers. Pin-up number 2. This was out of Savage Sword number 1. It was a front piece by Esteban Maroto. Very good. And pin-up number 1. My favorite pin-up in this Omni. Was this one here. It was in Savage Sword of Conan number 9. And it was done by Pablo Marcos. Excellent black and white. It's unfortunate for any fans that never grew up during the time of the Savage Sword of Conan being on the newsstands. That was a very exciting time as a young person, is picking up these magazines because they were always so fantastic. I know the new Titan run, it's not quite there yet, but it is getting there. I think if they keep at it and be faithful, I think that it's going to give the same experience to a lot of new readers. Well, there you have it. an excellent omnibus produced by Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics. Savage Sword of Conan, the best illustrated version of Conan you'll ever find. Buy it, read it, and enjoy it. And with that, I bid you farewell.